Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. We'll be talking about using expectancy-value theory to motivate students. First, we'll go over the agenda. Today we'll talk about the need for engaged students and an overview of the expectancy-value theory. Then we'll go over each value in the theory in detail: attainment value, intrinsic value, utility value, and perceived cost value. Finally, we'll wrap it all up with a conclusion. So first, we'll talk about this need for engaged students. Since student learning is more meaningful and lasting when students are engaged in the learning process, it is crucial for students to be engaged in class. Some examples of engagement include participating in class discussions, finishing assignments, and preparing for class by completing extra materials. However, some students are not engaged in class, and this disengagement can stem from many different sources, like a general disinterest in a subject, belief that a class is useless, or other commitments that limit the amount of effort a student has left for a class. Next, we'll talk about the expectancy-value theory. So, since there are many different reasons why students are disengaged, learning about the expectancy-value theory can help teachers know how to motivate students. The expectancy-value theory is a framework that is used to classify different types of motivation values: attainment, intrinsic, utility, and perceived cost. We'll be going over each of these more fully. The first value we'll talk about is attainment value, which is the importance of succeeding in an activity or behavior relating to a person's chosen identity. So an example of a person with high attainment value could be an athlete. They love the sport of their choice, and they're pretty good at it too, so they want to improve and keep winning. So, to increase attainment value in students, teachers can support their students, and affirm that each of them have the potential to do well in the class and in life. They can also provide students with role models. Maybe they can encourage a current school program or group, or create one of their own. Finally, they can discuss different viewpoints of a subject in class, and allow students to participate and reach their own conclusions. Next, we'll talk about intrinsic value, which is the enjoyment of an activity or behavior. So an example of a student with high intrinsic value could be a student who really enjoys to read. And so they love their English class because they get to read books and discuss them in their class. So, teachers can help students increase their intrinsic values for classwork by starting lessons with something exciting or moderately challenging, like a puzzle or a game or discussion, to immediately hook the students. They can also give students choices and help them find something they do enjoy about the classwork. Finally, they can encourage students to directly interact with others or the lesson materials. In one study, intrinsic value was found to be a motivator for attending college. Next is utility value, which is the usefulness of a task in attaining future goals. So an example of a student with high utility value could be a student who wants to be an accountant in their future. So they put a lot of effort and time into their math class because they know that knowing the math will help them in the future. So, to increase students' utility value of a subject or a lesson, a teacher can create ways for students to connect what they are learning to class to how they will use this knowledge in their futures. Some examples include asking students when class content is used by others, showing a video of people using class content in their own lives, and connecting class knowledge to students' goals for the future. One study found that making connections to class material increased students' value of the material. Finally, we'll talk about perceived cost value, which is what an activity or behavior will cost emotionally or physically. So an example of a student with low perceived cost value is a student who deems that their assignment is worth the time and the effort that it would take to complete it. So, to lower perceived cost value in students, teachers can divide some assignments, like the larger projects, into some smaller assignments, which could help students perceive lower cost of finishing an assignment. They can also outline the time required to complete an assignment. High intrinsic and utility values for a task can lower perceived cost value of a task. So focusing on increasing task value, which is the intrinsic, utility, and attainment values combined, could actually be more influential in lowering this perceived cost than just changing lesson plans. Now we've reached our conclusion. Since student disengagement comes from many different sources, Knowing how to motivate using the expectancy value theory can help teachers find manageable, efficient, and direct ways to motivate students depending on what would engage them. Thank you for watching this presentation. I hope you enjoyed and found something you can take from it.